So I was thinking back to my childhood for this next story, and I can remember when all the new toys, the electronic toys, would come out. And there was no such thing as a toy that hooked up to the internet, mainly because there was no internet.
No internet.
Right. So, electronic toys, it was pretty much throw a couple of AA batteries or a 9-volt in there, and it would make some noise, and some lights would blink, and it might move around by itself, and that was about the extent of it. Well, creepy playthings can now record kids' conversations, track their movements, reveal their location, and even allow perverts to talk to them directly. The FBI has issued an urgent notice concerning toys that are packed full of sensors, cameras, and microphones to record a child's words and GPS locators to track their whereabouts. The FBI said toys fitted with microphones can record and collect conversations within earshot of the device, gathering information such as the child's name, school, activities, and likes and dislikes. Other gadgets require kids to file a picture when starting a user account and hand over date of birth, address, which could be used in identity fraud. So the FBI had the following advice for parents. Consumers should examine toy company user agreement disclosures and privacy practices, and you should know where their family's personal data is sent and stored, including if it is sent to third-party services. So, the real question is, how do we prevent this? How do we make sure that this does not happen? Joining us now, he is a cybersecurity expert and computer data specialist. He is attorney Shawn Tuma. Good morning, Shawn. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mark. Thank you.
Thanks so much for being with us this morning. I've got to tell you, spying toys, that might be the scariest thing I've heard of in a while. We were just talking about, some of the toys back when I was a kid. All you had to worry about was blinking lights and maybe some noises that it would make. But now these things are like spy devices almost.
Oh, yeah, but they're really cool, right? And so we're willing to take it.
That's it. As long as it's cool, we'll put up with it.
That's right. I mean, we love the benefits and we love the interactivity of the toy that'll talk to you and listen and answer questions. And in many cases, we're willing to give up privacy or security in exchange for it. The question is, do we know when we're doing that? That's really what it comes down to.
Well, and, I think this is probably the first time I have ever heard the words used. Consumers should examine toy company user agreement disclosures and privacy practices. It's a kid's toy, right? This is the same kind of thing that you get when you sign up for, like, your Apple iPhone, right? I mean, same kind of thing. Right.
And that's assuming that the company has done a good job of disclosing what it's really doing. We saw a case last year with a sex toy that was connected, and they didn't disclose how they were using the data.
Right.
And, so really what we need, Mark, is we need people to stop, pause and think and say, how is this toy doing all of these really cool things that we like,
right? And
really go through that thought process.
So now,
and then make your own decision.
Do parents have any sort of legal recourse when it comes to, tech toy hacking or anything like that?
Well, we're looking at two issues here. We're looking at, one, the privacy aspect, which is what data is it collecting and how is it being used. The other is the security, which is the fact that this is nothing more than a small computer and could be hacked like any other computer. In terms of privacy, look, they're putting it out there what the toy does.
Right.
So there's, we need to have enough common sense today, and no longer, cyber ignorance is not cool. Understand how these things work,
right,
and that it necessarily is collecting this data. Now, if your toys get hacked, then yes, we have robust laws that protect against that. But that's much more rare than the more common situation of where's this data going and how's it being used.
I think the big thing here is parents just need to be aware of number one, what devices they are bringing into their home, and then what information those devices are asking for.
That's right. That awareness will really move people a lot farther. And it's not just children's toys. It's the, the iRobot vacuum cleaners that are mapping our homes, Snapchat. Where's that data going? Why is Facebook giving us a platform for free?
Yeah.
Because,
nothing,
think about that.
Nothing is for free. My guest this morning has been cybersecurity expert and computer data specialist attorney Shawn Tuma. Shawn, thank you so much for your time this morning, my friend. Some great information. I know there'll be some parents out there that are glad they heard this segment. We look forward to having you on the show again real soon.
Thank you, Mark.
You got to take care.
Okay, what's going on with this FBI issuing an urgent warning about spy toys that could put our privacy and safety of children at risk? Creepy playthings can record kids' conversations, track their movements, reveal their location, even allow perverts to talk to them directly. Cybersecurity expert and computer data specialist attorney Shawn Tuma. How are you, Shawn?
I'm doing well, Stevie J. How are you?
Good to have you back on the show, my geekish friend.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me back.
I call you that affectionately because if you're a geekish guy that knows cybersecurity, you're also a very wealthy person, and you're an attorney on top of all that. Just couldn't get enough education, could you, Shawn?
Well, yeah, we need to go back to that wealthy part, but hey, I do it for the love of it, right?
All right, so we're all sensitive to perverts and bad people out there spying on not only all of us, but especially children. What do you know? What is this?
Well, what this really is the FBI is using this as an opportunity to raise awareness among people and help them understand it. You know, when you go to a store or online and you see these cute little toys that are talking, interacting with children and, you know, are really cool, that you need to stop and ask yourself, how does that work? How is it listening to my child? How is it recording this data? What is it doing with it? Where is it going? And how is this protected? Because the reality is these little toys are mini computers. And just like any other computer, they have cybersecurity risks. They also have privacy issues because all this data that it's collecting is being sent up to the cloud somewhere. And even though they're not being used for nefarious purposes, we're seeing data being used to build profiles about all of us as individuals, and then sold for marketing and other purposes. And so people really need to just raise their awareness and stop and think about this.
I think the misnomer today, Shawn, is that there is privacy. I mean, if the FBI wanted to find out what the heck I was doing, couldn't they pretty easily do that?
For most of us, yeah. I mean, you're right. It's a matter of how limited and how much can we protect those things that are most critical to our privacy. For example, a little toy like this, you know, you don't want to have it in the bathroom, you know, while the child's bathing or something, or you don't, you know, if the parents, heaven forbid, you don't want it in your bedroom, you know, things like that. So if you're going to have these kind of things in the home or in our lives, because, look, it's not just children's toys. I mean, we saw a case last year with a connected sex toy. We've seen stories of the iRobot Roombas that are mapping our homes. You know, Snapchat. You think it's giving you the service for free? Heck no, it's collecting images of your face and mapping your biometric facial profile. All of this stuff in our world is there for a reason, and it's gathering and collecting data. So we need to understand that and limit how we use it, because we can't get away from it.
I'm learning more and more about this whole marketing and digital, and, you know, I can walk into a Wendy's restaurant and get a pop-up on my phone telling me to go to McDonald's. That's creepy.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now imagine, you know, the children with these toys getting an alert saying, oh, your child normally goes to bed at 7:30.
Wow.
You're late in putting your child to bed. Here, I'm going to play this song for them.
That is, yeah, okay. So the message from Shawn Tuma, who's a very smart cybersecurity guy from Frisco, Texas, is to know what you're buying and understand the capabilities and to be on your guard and on your alert. Now, how do people find you, my friend?
They find me at my website, www.ShawnETuma.com. And remember, it's no longer cool to be cyber ignorant.
No, right on. Absolutely. We need to know what's capable. Thank you, bud. I appreciate your time as always. From Texas, Shawn, T-U-M as in mother, A, Tuma. Nice to have you back.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Back here on a Tuesday, the 25th of July, the FBI sent a warning to parents earlier this week. Your children's new internet-connected toy could be secretly spying on them. Here's a quote from what the FBI had to say. These toys typically contain sensors, microphones, cameras, data storage components, and other multimedia capabilities, including speech recognition and GPS options. Warning that these high-tech toys can be hacked into, record video and audio of children unbeknownst to parents. I know all of this seems very, very scary. Not trying to alarm you, but I think you should be aware of exactly what you're handing your kids. Shawn Tuma is a actual cybersecurity expert and computer data specialist attorney. Shawn, did I pronounce your last name correctly?
You did.
Okay.
It's like the fish, but with an M.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being with us. How concerned should parents be?
Concerned, more aware, I think, is the appropriate way to look at it. Concern would be if we didn't have control over it. Aware means, it's not that these toys are bad in and of themselves. It's the ways they can be used and the things that can come about if we don't use appropriate protections in what we allow our children to do with them and how they're used. So I think we need to be aware is really what the issue is.
All right, let's talk, if we could. I don't know if you're familiar with this My Friend Kayla smart doll. It's been banned in Germany. There's been a congressional inquiry here. It has not been banned in the United States, but basically the doll can be hacked to record private conversations transmitted through the Bluetooth connection inside this doll. This doll looks like an innocuous sort of thing we would have given to somebody 30 years ago, but built into this is GPS and recording capabilities and Bluetooth, which means somebody could access it directly to your kid.
That's exactly right. We're looking at two issues here. One, privacy. How is our information being collected and used? Two, the security aspects, which means bad people can access the device or the stream of information and take it and use it for bad purposes. And, we do need to be very careful about where we allow these toys to go, when our children use them, and ask ourselves, would I want someone standing here next to me taking notes of this the whole time? Because that's what this device is doing. Then when we're looking at what bad people can do with it, say, would I want to give this information to someone that may want to do harm to my child, that may give them an advantage in doing what they're trying to do?
All right. Now, as far as I know that some of this stuff has come out, a drab here, a little bit here, drip, drip sort of stuff. This is the first time the FBI has actually issued this kind of warning.
Yeah, this is very interesting in how they've done it. I don't know of any actual cases that they're looking at where this has happened, where someone has used these devices like this. It's a proactive warning to parents to say, hey, wake up, think about this, ask yourself, all these little cool features that we love, that we think our children will enjoy, how is this happening? How does the device do it? And be proactive in protecting your children from improper situations with it.
All right, Shawn, we really appreciate your expertise. Thank you for being with us. Shawn Tuma, who is a cybersecurity expert and a computer data specialist.
Turns out that these toys not only can record kids' conversations, but they can also track their movements, reveal their location via GPS, and even allow, how do I put this tactfully, perverts to talk to them directly. And the FBI has gone so far as to issue an urgent notice concerning toys that are packed full of sensors, cameras, and microphones. To talk about it this morning is cybersecurity expert and computer data specialist attorney Shawn Tuma. He joins us now on the Wake Up Call. Shawn, what toys are these?
Well, there's any number of toys that can fall within this category. What we should look for are toys that the child can talk to and that will talk back, that interact through answering questions, having conversations, toys that have the ability to tell where the child is, where they are, geolocation type information.
Well,
and it's really a broad category.
Okay, but are there? Can you give me a brand name of a specific toy that does this?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of one.
Okay, but
and I know I've read about a lot of them, but I can't think of any of them that are popping up.
Okay, well, why would a parent buy a toy, or why would anybody market a toy that has GPS tracking ability?
Well, it's not, all of these things are marketed to the benefits that we like. It may be something that on the GPS, gives you the weather in an area.
Yeah, what kid gives a crap about... Okay, stop. What kid gives a crap about the weather?
I have no idea.
Come on, Elmo. What's the weather going to be?
I have no idea why or what the value of the GPS is. Now, here's the thing, though. A lot of times, it's not that it's a GPS-specific device. It's that it's a device that, because it's a little mini computer, which is all these toys are, can then be tracked for its location. Where it's connecting to Wi-Fi, where it's connecting through its IP addresses on the Internet, things like that. It doesn't have to be designed just for GPS or even designed for GPS to be tracked. Our computers are tracked even if they're not designed for GPS. We can still be located in various areas. And that's part of what it is. But the GPS really isn't as much of the issue as it is the communication part, that this device is collecting and recording communications from the child and then back to the child, and that information is being stored somewhere and is being used for purposes that we may not anticipate. And then that bad guys can intercept that information, just like anybody else can have their information intercepted over the Internet.
Okay, so, considering you're not sure what toys they are, how is a parent supposed to protect themselves? I mean, if you're an expert on it and you're not sure what the toys are, how is a parent supposed to go out there and go, okay, is this a toy that's going to track my child? Is this a toy that is going to, do these things? I mean, what does a parent look for?
What the parent looks for is toys that you talk to and that have the ability to communicate and interact with the child, and that will then talk back. That's one really big feature. All you have to do is, and I haven't bought one of these toys yet, so I don't know. I can't tell you the brand names, but I can tell you there are toys all over when you're watching Disney or Nick Jr. that have these. They talk to you. You ask it a question, and then it asks you or answers your question. It's just like a Siri for your iPhone, but it does it through a toy, or just like Google's Alexa. You can talk to it, and then it'll provide you information, just like smart TVs now, where they can record certain information. That's all it is. And when you see a toy that says it interacts with the child, and the child can ask it questions, and it'll giggle and give responses, or it will, carry on a conversation, that's a telltale sign to stop and say, how is it doing this? What enables this? And that means it's collecting this information, it's processing it, and then it transmits it back so that it can give you a response.
Other than drones, which I know you can buy with a camera installed in them, are there, plush toys or other toys that have cameras that are somehow embedded in them, and what is the purpose for those?
We've seen numerous examples. A year ago, we had a situation, cases filed, dealing with a sex toy that had a camera embedded and that collected and stored information. And I'm sure initially the people who bought that weren't envisioning some of the ways it could be used in the future, but it led to a big lawsuit. And, we have the iRobot, the little, it's called a Roomba that goes around taking images or, mapping our home through the different locations it is as it's learning. And as we see more and more artificial intelligence being put into these devices, those things things run off of information, and that's information about us. So the uses, a child's monitor in a nursery is something that's been in the news for several years now.
Yeah.
From the websites that are out there that have links to insecure monitors where people can snoop into, the nurseries in people's homes. We don't buy them for that purpose, and they're not marketed for that purpose. But bad people figure out ways to use good things for bad purposes.
It's interesting.
And that's really what this FBI alert's all about.
It's interesting that you brought up baby monitors, and this is going back 20 years because my son's 20. But we had a baby monitor, and I remember one time sitting in the living room going, who the hell's having a conversation in the house? And I'm listening to it, and I realized it was the neighbors down the street who apparently had the same kind of baby monitor and were on the same channel, and I'm listening to their conversation.
That's right. I mean, yeah, I had a somewhat similar experience with a baby monitor back then, and it's not always intentional. A lot of times, these things can happen through negligence, through accidents, or what have you. But the whole point here is it's not just for children's toys, it's for any devices. In our connected, smart Internet of Things, smart devices world, is to stop, pause, and ask yourself, how are these devices operating and what information are they being used? Using to do this. And would I want someone sitting right here in my living room with me taking notes of all this like this device is now doing?
All right. Shawn, thanks for joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
All right. You take care.